and welcome to the REAL SEO audit. And this is a report that you'll see as you're seeing on my screen here. And when you open the report up, we have little sections along the bottom here, and you can click on any of these sections and you'll be presented with the relevant information. However, the intention of this video is just to run through some of the areas of interest, and as I say, you'll have a copy of this document, and it has so much information on here that this video could go on for hours, but I'll do my best to keep it as short as possible without waffling on too much. Okay, so this is the main information. This is our SEO audit checklist, and we can see the relevant sections here. So here are the aspects of your website that have been checked manually, and as I say, here's each area, and we're giving each area as a grade, and there's some notes, and also for some of the areas I've also added a report URL. Okay, so if we scroll down, you'll see there's all the areas of concern are in red, and these are areas to look at. And really the purpose of this audit is just to bring some up areas that can be improved on your website. It's not to say things aren't working at the moment, but the purpose is to look at every aspect of the website that's on your pages and that's links from other websites. And what I do is look at all those areas so they can be improved, because just slight differences, slight tweaks here can improve the overall result, which is important because, of course, you want your website to be performing as well as possible. So let's go on to the first aspect. So does your website load within 3 seconds on desktop? And primarily on this, I'll just go on this video. I'll just go through some of the areas that failed, because some areas that you've done well, they've been fine. There's no problem at all, and there's no real point in having the report that just emphasizes all the good things, because of course there's always work that can be done. So the desktop version of your website, I ran a quick test on that, and we could see that actually it's slightly over 3 seconds, and it's not the end of the world, but it just means that it can be tweaked, and that's an increase of 2 seconds. And I'll quickly explain that. The increase is because having this report and doing this report over several months, it means that I've been able to benchmark. So when I originally done this report, the speed was 1.4 seconds. So there we go. So when I updated this quick test, we could see that it was 3.4 seconds now. Okay, so, and if you click that, you can see more information on why that's so slow in areas that can be improved on that. But more importantly, the mobile version actually was significantly slower. And the mobile version of the website is so important nowadays to load in as quickly as possible, because Google considers the mobile version of your website more important than the desktop version. So therefore it has an impact on your keyword rankings in Google, because really at the end of the day, it's important that your mobile version loads quickly. And this version, your mobile website the mobile version of your website loads in almost 15 seconds, which is it's too long. And there are various plugins and also optimizations that can be done, and this can be just reducing your images And I cover more of that actually further on in the report, just to speed things up. And again, as regards page speed, there's another score here, and various fails, just checking on the major and minor fails of the website. And some pages are indexed on Google that don't need to be there. So you have some pages that you don't really want people to find. So if I click on this one in a moment, but there we go, we can see, so we've got host and hello pages that don't really need to be there. So let's just have a look at this, and you may lose the video for a moment there just while this loads in, but there we go, just to explain the point. So these pages, these hosting pages that may be to do with a staging website, they're listed on Google. We don't want those listed on there, because not only does Google see those, but also visitors potentially could also find those. So if we go back to the report, and of course this report will mean more to your web department. And as I said before, the purpose of this is to find areas that bit by bit they have an impact on your website. Just a small amount, but they all contribute. So ideally you don't want these red areas, because it just goes against you. So more and more, there we go. So our image is compressed. Okay, some are, but some aren't. And I was able just to look at that information, and we can see that they can actually be improved, because the purpose of optimizing your images means that they will load in more quickly, which would impact your mobile speed. Does the website have broken links? Yes, the website does have broken links, and I'll show you that right now. Again, you lost possibly a bit of video there, but there we go. So we're on your website here, and if I scroll to the bottom, you have a link here, designed and developed by JDR Group. Now if I click on that link, it takes us to nowhere. So anybody that clicks on that link does not go anywhere, and that's been a broken link that's been on there for, since the website went live, it's been on there for many months. And another one that I mentioned further on into this report, it's quite a prominent link. Okay, let's just close that thing that can get quite annoying. I know it's there to help people, but it can also get quite annoying. Okay, so when we click on this, watch our corporate video, that's where it goes to. Okay, you've lost visuals there slightly. Let's see where it goes to. Oh, it goes to your home page. So again, that really needs to be removed, or the correct link added, because at the moment it's not going anywhere of use. So, and that is such a prime area of your website, because it's a prominent area, because the majority of your visitors will actually click on links here. The majority of people do not scroll down, and that's not just specifically your website, that's just websites as a whole. People just are reluctant to scroll down because they're lazy. So as I say, it's really good to repair that. And we do have some, once we're on your website, there are some other broken links that really should be fixed. And again, these are just standards. It's nothing too complicated. It's just housekeeping. And if we go to the company links page, where you have links to other websites, Some of these, I won't click on all these now, but some of them, possibly that one, and there's a few others that are actually broken. They don't go anywhere. They just, and really, it's just, as I said before, it's important. It's just to clean those up because it reflects on your website. So we have other areas. So okay, so green, they're just for your awareness, really, nothing of anything major there. And we have, going back to the red again on here, so we're looking at the duplicate content. So do you have duplicate content on your web pages? Sorry, my voice has gone slightly deep there. It's gone deeper as the day's gone on. So maybe by the end it'll be so Barry White. Okay, so back to this. The duplicate content on your website. So are you using content that's on other pages? Are you using it on your website, on other pages? And yes, you are. And clicking this link here will actually give you more information about that, because ideally you want the contents on your website. So when I say content, that's text, that's sentences, as unique as possible. So understandably, you can't have different menus and different footer text that will be the same. But on other pages, it's important just to make that as unique as possible, which brings me on to the word count. And again, the text on your pages, it's important that you fill that up as much as possible with relevant text, because more content nowadays is better, as long as it's relevant, as long as it's unique, it's important. And this information, the word count, we'll go into that on one of the pages, on one of the other sections, sorry. So I won't run through all of these, because as you can see, there are several hundred checks, but you have all the information on here. And if you have any specific questions, or your web team has any questions, please do ask. And so that's our checklist, and I'll run through these other areas because I did say I try to be brief. Okay, so benchmarks. And again, this page might look quite sparse, but it's important, and I really wanted to keep this on a separate page, because what we're doing here is just to look at the number of pages that you have indexed on Google. So that's individual HONOR pages, without including your domain name, because within this, sorry, your blog, your subdomain, because I should have emphasized at the beginning of this video that this audit is looking at the main HONOR domain. I haven't looked at, I keep saying we, it's me. I haven't looked at the subdomain blog.honor, simply because Google treats the subdomain and the main domain separately. So which actually, before I get onto this, which brings me on to one of the most important aspects that I found, that I consider with how things are at the moment on your website, that at the moment you have a subdomain, so that's your blog, which I'm sure you do very well, but just let's bring that up. How do I get onto the blog? How do I get onto your blog? Or which link do I go onto to find your blog? Okay, so let's go to the homepage. Then there will be a link, I seem to remember, to a post. Okay. Yep, there we go. Okay, so go into your posts, and I can look at the URL there at the bottom. So let's click onto blog. And this is an important aspect, but I've diversified slightly from the report, because this is a really important aspect. And I keep saying that because, and I'll probably say it again because it's so important. So despite what anyone says, what anyone tells you, it's so important, and take my word on this, it's so important to have all of the content on your main domain, because when you have a separate domain, so blog.honor, etc., Google treats them as separate domains, which is not a good thing, because it's important to bulk up the content on your main domain, because that creates the authority. So from a usability point of view, as in admin, okay, great, you just log into the blog admin and you can upload articles, etc. But from a Google perspective, from a visitor's perspective, it's better, it really is better to have it on the main domain, because as I said before, Google treats the subdomain and your main domain separately. So, and again, that's evident if you go to your Google console or Google Analytics, you have to input the subdomain and the main domain. They're treated as separate entities. And just to, hopefully that makes sense. So, as I said before, ideally, and I know it's difficult now because you have all the content you have. So I'm not saying go back and put all the content on the main domain. I would say that it would have been better to begin with, whoever did this, that if they put everything onto the main domain, onto the main one, because it bulks up the whole of the website. And just to prove that, if we look at so this is a SEO company, SEO agency that been around for years and years. So if this is really just proving the concept, really, that it's not a good idea just to separate them. It was an old way. Years ago, what we would do would be to treat them separately. We would have a subdomain, blog, etc. But it's not a good thing. So as we can see on here, saying, okay, Mars, so we don't need to look at all the information, but we will see that their marsdomain.com, and if we go to blog, then their main, I'm not sure if you can see the URL at the bottom there, but let's click on that. And the blog will open. See, we don't have a subdomain, because the purpose of all this content is to beef up. Yeah, that's a good word, to beef up the main website. So when these articles are ranking, when people can search for these articles on Google, it sends them to your main website. And that's a good thing, because there are various technical reasons, be it the length of time that people spend on your website looking at the articles. They're also important, so Google factors that in, and we want that information to be factored in for the main website. So okay, it's great that you have this content on there, and the content, whoever's writing this, and I seem to remember that maybe you're writing it and somebody else is editing it, etc. But and it's great to have this on there, and we can see that these articles are, some of them are ranking nicely. Okay, great. But I would say it's more beneficial to have this content on your main domain. And despite, from a web developer point of view, they will say, well, hey, we can make, it's the only way you've been able to get a blog into your design. And I understand that, but I would say the practicalities, the long-term benefits of having the blog on your main domain weighs out everything else. So I would say that and again, the reason I'm talking about this, spending a bit of time on this, is because it's so important. So I know it's difficult now, but because you've moved everything is on a subdomain, but ideally everything is better on the main domain. So I'd never recommend that anybody puts content onto a subdomain. So that's really the main point. And I'll get back to, I may bring it up again, sorry, I may bring the blog issue up again. And because it's so important, and I know there's not a great deal that can be done, but it's important that, okay, you have the blog there, but it's also important just to increase the content that you have on the main website, because this is, oh, back on there again. This is the one, this is the main website is your bread and butter. That's where your business comes, that's where your leads are being generated. So will also be that where, hey, we're sending people from the blog to the website. Okay, that's great. You're funneling people through, but it's still important to up the content of your main pages, because that will increase the number of keywords that you have listed on Google, because again, it would just increase your traffic. So I will try not to mention that one anymore, because I think I've sort of honed, my point. Okay, so let's get back to this. The serious business of SEO benchmarks. So, and again, taking into account, this is just your main domain. You have 200, so in February, 11th of February, a few days before Valentine's, you had 226 pages listed on Google. And in May, you had 238. Okay, so you've added a few more pages, and the purpose of that is just to check that Google is adding more pages and pages aren't being removed, etc. And as I said before, I had a rant about the blog. I've been able to do a couple of benchmarks, so we can actually see, have things changed? Has the needle changed that much between those are the months, and effectively those are the months that you're paying for a service? Have things changed? Maybe there'll be another rant a bit later on about that. Okay, so the number of index pages, that's good. The root domains, so they're the root domains, so they're website domains that are linking to you, because it's good to have more links to your website from other domains. Now that's web directories or distributors. It's better if you can have links from websites that are within your industry, because there's a relevancy factor that Google considers in its algorithm. So the more, the merrier. But I can't really see a great deal of movement in the links that you're acquiring each month. So this should be part of the month-on-month SEO service that you're paying for, or if you're paying for the SEO service. Obtaining links is so important. So Google not only looks at the content of your pages and what's on your pages, it also looks at the links that you have pointing to your pages, pointing to your website from other domains. So it's important that this is factored in. So as things stand at the moment, I've been able to monitor these over the last few months, and it's not really increasing a great deal. So that's room for improvement. So I would certainly factor in that, hey, we need to acquire at least X amount of links per month, because that's so important. Because at the moment, things look very stagnant as regards links. So as I said before, I don't think there's any work going on there. You may have one or two links that have been acquired on directories, and there's a section that we cover. Don't worry, there's a section I cover on backlinks, and we have some links from the Mirror website. Don't worry, nothing bad, but just from their directory. And okay, they're okay links, but they're not really that relevant. So they're good to have. And I also monitor the links, the new links that you have, and also the links that are lost and the links that are gained. And of course, these are part of the tools that I pay for. So these are paid tools that every day I obviously don't search on Google, but these tools just monitor and they show me patterns of new links, etc., etc. So just as an overall assessment, the linking area could be improved. which brings us onto the organic keywords. So the number of organic keywords that you had when I did and there we go. We can see that that's okay. That's the same date. Okay. I need to look at that one because I think that should be okay. Oh, we found a mistake there. So let's remove the date on there because I know possibly may have been around February, around about this time, but let's just remove the date from there for now. But the most important aspect is, okay, so the data now, how many keywords do we have listed are within the 100 results of Google as of the 20th of May. So at one point there were 218, but some of those keywords are important to you and you have lots of low performing keywords that are all long tail keywords that aren't really that specific, but I'll cover more of that in some of the other sections down here. And again, just an assessment of organic search visitors. And I'm sure you have all this information within your Google Analytics, and you may not really look at it because sometimes it's just figures. But the purpose of this, I just wanted to do benchmark. Okay, so in February, from organic searches, you had 434, and when I did a check on the previous month, so I would have looked at this was for January and this is for April, so a few months difference. But was there much of a shift? Now these are visits from organic search, mainly Google, but I just wanted to see, so not really that much of a significant shift, which brings us on to the bounce rate. So the bounce rate is one of the most important benchmarks. It's an important figure, and I'll explain that. The bounce rate figure, it's when somebody goes into your website, be it the home page, whatever page they've entered on your website, it's then whether they exit that website without going elsewhere. So that has an impact on your bounce rate because, of course, if somebody goes to your home page and they go straight out away within a few seconds, the website hasn't shown them what they wanted for some reason, be it price or be it the information wasn't there, they've bounced straight out. So the bounce rate is a factor that we believe Google considers as well within its algorithm, that if you have a high bounce rate, and above 70 is actually really high. The 50 downwards is a good mark to have. So it just means that, okay, when somebody does a search for one of our products, deep hole drilling, why, if that's a very specific search, when they go to our homepage, why are they bouncing straight out? What can we have? What can we put on that website? And okay, you have a contact form, you have a lead magnet, so you want to grab their email address, but maybe there's something else that and a factor in that could be that, oh, when somebody goes to your homepage, they click on the corporate video. Oh, that's not here. So, oh, what? And they may just exit. Until there are tools, there's that we can track, that we can record more and more information. We can record visits, visual videos of how people interact. But that's further on down the line. But for the purpose of this, so I'm going quite at speed here, so you can watch this over and over, or I can talk slowly, but I won't spend too much time talking about each and every area. So, okay, let's move on from there because I think I've spent quite a bit of time on those benchmarks. So I'll try not to spend too long on these other areas because they're quite large areas in themselves. So what I've done here is it's a quick audit of the content on your pages. So we have all of your websites your URLs, your website pages, and the 200 successful means that they loaded in fine. That's okay, which is what we would expect. And we have our title here, and we have our title length, and these are on yellow because ideally we want you to look at these and edit these, because these figures, some are too high, some are too low. So really with the title length, you want to make that. And again, this is just a recommendation based on experience, based on current factors that Google look for. So the best number really of a title length is between 50 and 60. At the moment, you're just short and a bit high, because if you don't have it within that length, Google will cut it, snap it off. And it's just important just to, if you can, just tweak those areas, and the description again between 120 and 158. If you can, again, it's just housekeeping, just tweaking those areas, because just changing, this is where SEO is so OCD, I guess, that you can, just by changing things slightly, just by tweaking things, it can make such a difference overall. Because some of your competitors, they may not be doing these tweaks, they can't do this. So, and this is where you can leap above them, even more so than you already are, because okay, you have good keyword rankings and good traffic, but the purpose of this is to look at areas that can be improved even more, and there's always improvements that can be made. So these are other areas that either yourself or your web team can make some changes, just some slight changes. And really the word count again, so this is the word count of all the text that's on that page, because that's also an important factor at the moment, because some of those are quite low. Okay, so some of those, and I know some of the pages, so we have a team contact email, and some of those pages, they will be low in content, because there's not much you can put on there. And I know you don't want to waffle on too much like I'm able to, but it's important. The purpose of having more content is because Google likes more content, more relevant, and more relevance. And more relevance means better listings, more traffic, more orders, more leads, etc., etc. So ideally, within your industry, manufacturing, you want to try and increase the text on those pages. And you may have people that will tell you, hey, it doesn't really make a difference. But my job is, as an SEO, is to tell you that it can have an impact. It can have a huge impact on the number of keywords you're listed on, and the number of traffic. So ideally, you want at least 1,000 keywords. And yep, it can seem huge. And I understand on a contact page, okay, you have 189 at the moment, and that may be fine, but there may be other pages where you decide, oh, on our not grinding page, or one of the other pages that, oh, we can add some more text, because it's minimal isn't a good thing nowadays. From a design point of view, okay, it's great to be minimalistic, but it's important that from a Google perspective to have as much content in there as possible. And I can even give you a figure that there's a within your industry, within a manufacturing industry, a good benchmark is 1,700 to 1,900 words. Wow. But of course, if within your industry, your competitors are nowhere near that, this is just a benchmark. This is just a recommendation, because some of your competitors may start to add more content, more text. And that's where my job is to advise you that these are areas that you really should consider, because the pros outweigh the cons. So again, I've looked at more and more pages here. You can scroll down and see all those pages. And when we get further to the bottom, you'll see, don't be too alarmed, 301 redirects. And these are your original pages that when whoever created the website they have redirects that are pointing to these pages. So this is more from a technical perspective, but I wanted to put those in there just to show that I've looked at all the pages, and there's nothing bad. There's nothing that will do you any harm in those pages. That's perfectly fine. Which brings me on to, hopefully you're keeping up and you haven't fallen asleep. And hopefully this is interesting for you, because as I said before, it's all good stuff. It's all stuff that can be changed or improved. Okay, so we have your keywords. So it's important just to have a look at not only the keywords that you're targeting. So here's your keyword, deep hole boring, and the URL that you have listed. And these are positions that and information all relevant to Google. So if I just look at the first one, so the URL that you have listed, when we do a search for deep hole boring, you're listed at position 1. Sorry, I might go back and forth along here just to confuse you even more. So, and the volume of searches that we know that performed each month, Google UK, are 40 searches. Not a huge amount, but of course it's very specific to you. So it's a good thing, because it's not a generic term, and it's relevant to you. And okay, so your position 1, great, fantastic. And a difficulty level is a difficult term, and it's a very competitive term, we can see. But of course, we also know that your estimated volume of visitors will actually be from a position 1 result is 9, not a huge amount. And we just have more information on here as how much that would cost you through Google AdWords if you use that term. And I'm sure you know this anyway, but this is just to provide all the information. Where this section will be possibly of more interest will be when you actually look at other words, other more important words for you. So let's have a look. Okay, hole drilling. Let's have one where let's find one. Let's go further down where you're not at such a high position, because okay, page 1, great, you've got that sorted for those areas. But okay, so we have this one here. This is a panning tool, tree panning tool. Yeah, let's go for that one. If I've said it wrong, sorry. So the volume for this, okay, so this is quite a popular one. So 260 searches on Google. So these aren't people that are coming to your website yet. These are people that are just doing a search on Google UK. So difficulty, okay, fairly difficult. But at the moment, because you're placed at position 11, this report is estimating that your traffic, your estimated traffic volume it's actually only 2 visits. So if this page was to be optimized more, if things on this page were tweaked significantly more, and this position improved to page 1, because at the moment you're at page 2 with this term. So if you're on page 1, ideally within the first few positions, then you could be enjoying some of that traffic. And as I said before, this is where when we start to go down to the higher, the keywords on page 2 that are boring a hole, okay, would that be the type of traffic that you want? 590. And again, so it just gives us an idea of the results and if those pages were tweaked. Also, it has a lot of fluff as well, this report. And what I mean by that is that there are keywords that you're ranking for. So what I mean by ranking is that when somebody does a search on Google, that your website appears. So and we have this one, University of Bedford. Okay, and that's because you have a PDF and you're listed on there, so you may have received a bit of traffic. Is that really that relevant for you? Possibly not. And boring holes, okay, that's possibly getting more generic there. But if it's a term that you really want to appear higher for, then at the moment you're position 15. And we can see that that's searched for 720 times. So possibly something that you possibly could rank higher for. And so really the purpose of this is just to give you an overview of where your keywords are, the ones on page 1, which are great, but also opportunities to look for other keywords that you're not necessarily in a good position for. Because if we go down, there we go, so gun drilling tools, okay, your position 20, so, and again, not huge amounts, but by tweaking this page, tweaking that page and improving those terms, then you can improve your overall traffic. So you have several hundreds of those to look through at your leisure. So let's, without further ado, let's look at the next section. So this is our click-through rating optimization. So we have your keywords, and I've also gone through and deduced whether it's a brand name, because we know your brand is very up there, so people know your brand and they're doing a search. The purpose of this section is to actually show you the keywords that people are searching for and the number of impressions that you get. So when somebody does a search on Google, so let's not go for depot. That's a bit. Let's go for gun drilling. That sounds dynamic. That sounds a good one. Gun drilling. So we know, that you receive, this is in the over 28 days, previous 28 days, because of course there's a limit really. We could pull up 90 days, but for the purpose of this, and just to give you more information, we're looking at gun drilling, and you received 5 clicks for that term, gun drilling. Now we know that your link, this link here, was shown to 96 searches. So 96 times the link to your website was shown on Google when somebody types gun drilling. But of those that searched and saw your link, only 5 clicked through to your website. And as a result of that, your click-through rate is 5.21. Now, the purpose of this report is to show that how sexy, that's the word, does your title look for somebody? Is it enticing enough that when somebody does a search, because is it grabbing them and enticing them to click through to your website? And I would say, okay, 5% is okay, but it could be better. It could be higher, because can this be improved more? It can, yes, because I would say many of these titles that you have, and these are the titles that they're the meta titles that are added within the admin. So on each page, so each page has its own unique, or it should have its own unique title. And so the purpose of this report is to actually show us and show you which keywords you have that people are searching for, the impressions you have, and how you can increase the click-through rate, because it's important to increase the click-through rate, because again, that's more traffic, that will bring you more traffic. So the purpose of this is to bring up, okay, so when somebody does a search for deep hole drilling, okay, this is the title and the link that somebody sees, okay, click-through rate, great. So that's 11.76, and your position 1, okay, so you are position 1, but then the argument I would say, okay, while that's all great, why are you only getting 6 clicks? Your position 1 for, sorry, my head is going down and down like I'm sinking into my chair, or maybe I'm sending myself to sleep as I drone on. So anyway, I will try and be brief. We just have a few more sections, so please try and keep up keeping you in suspense. So back to this. So we have our deep hole drilling. So as I was just saying, that you're in position 1 for that, and your link was shown 51 times within the previous 28 days, but your click-through rate is only almost 12%. So the point I'm making is, well, what can you do within the title to increase that? What words can be added within there to get people to click through to you? Because maybe this isn't really that enticing. Maybe there should be a bit more information of, okay, deep hole drilling services. And this is where I'd say, with SEO, particularly on-page SEO, where it's a case of you assess, you tweak, then you let it run for a short amount of time, then you assess again, you analyze it, and you tweak and you check. So changing these should be a constant, really. Over the course of each month, you should be changing these, or your web team should be changing these just to tweak them to get the best click-through rates, because click-through rate has an impact on, like all of this, it has an impact on your traffic, as we can see here. Because if you just change one of these slightly and it increases the click-through rate by 1%, that can be a huge difference, huge amount of difference to the number of leads you have for your websites. To your websites and the inquiries, because the majority of these will be relevant to you. Okay, there may be some dud keywords in here, but these are the keywords that your website is still appearing for. So there may be some that can be improved more. Okay, and okay, we have Honor, great. We have your brand in there, but we have other ones that, let's have a look. So CNC honing, so perfect ones. The impressions, okay, 8. Your position 3, and no click-through rate, previous 28 days. And so, as I said before, and I know there are a lot on here, and it may be a case of just drawing up a list of, here are our most important phrases. Here are our most important ones that we want to appear higher for. So which ones can we tweak, as in on here, and test? Because of course you may not have the time, or whoever this may not have the time to actually go through each one. But so you could just draw a top 10. Let's attack these ones. Let's deal with these ones at the moment, and the following month we can do these ones. But as I said before, it's important just to make changes and assess, not to just sit on them and hope for the best, really. Because, and I would say, by looking at these titles, they probably haven't been changed from just how they are. Then the construction, they probably haven't been changed from when the website went live. They probably just were edited and just put up there, and other things took priority. But I would say they are important. They're an important aspect to look at. So let's get on to we're almost there. Just a few more sections to go. Hold on, we're almost there. Hold off. I know you may be dying to go to the toilet or dying to make a drink, but we're almost there. So, as I said before, a few hours ago, does it seem like hours ago, a few minutes ago, I mentioned that the backlinks to your website are so important, because effectively they're a vote from that website to your website. Google can see that link, and it gives you a push. It helps with your keyword listings. It helps with your traffic, because when I say helps with your traffic, not necessarily who's linking to you. So this one here, you have a link on the Mirror website on their directory, and you won't have a great deal of traffic from somebody going on that directory and then coming through to you. But where this is worthwhile, where it's a worthwhile exercise, where the backlinks are powerful, because Google will see that link, and it will give you a credit. It will give you a vote for that link. So, and it's better, as I mentioned before, that okay, you have some generic ones here, some newspaper ones, and again, great Cambridge News,